Hello and welcome to Solutions for Your Life. My name is Ed Scavarch, and today we are going to interview Carol Alberts, who is our Community Resource Development Educator. Carol, welcome.
Thank you for
How
having
are
me.
you?
Doing well today.
Good. Well, let's start off today by, first of all, why don't you just kind of explain a little bit about your position, what a Community Resource Development Educator for the University of Florida, IFAS, does here in our community.
Oh, well, I have the pleasure of helping people start small businesses in our area, mostly related to food entrepreneurship, starting a catering business and working with closely with the Sunshine Kitchen in St. Lucie County, a new commercial food incubator building. And aside from that, I get to focus on financial education to help people keep more money in their pockets so they can support those small businesses in our area. And I work a little bit with community dialogue, helping people voice their opinions about local issues. So it keeps me busy.
Well, keeping money in your pocket is always an interesting and desired thing for folks that live here in the county. Mm-hmm. And so a little bit about, before we get into what I really want to talk to today about, is a little bit about your work with small businesses and a couple of the programs that you've already done here in the county.
Yeah, well, one of my favorite programs is the Sprouting Healthy Businesses that we do with the the urban horticulture agent, Kate Rotundo. She and I offer a 6-week class that helps people to understand how to vegetable garden and gives them a little bit of information about business skills. So by the end of the 6-week course, they would have a comfort level growing their own food and perhaps selling the extra produce that they make.
Sure, you can sell it at farmers markets or to local restaurants. Maybe if you get good enough at it, you can take it and go over to the food kitchen that you just mentioned. So, well, excellent. Well, and now, June 1st, we know that June 1st was the official beginning of hurricane season. Mm-hmm. And so today what I would like to talk about is a little bit about the insurance considerations for the homeowner and renter. And so as we enter this year's season, what do homeowners need to know about insurance?
Most important thing I think is understanding the coverage that they have with their homeowners insurance. Most policies are designed they're called open peril policies. And so they don't cover specific named perils like earthquake or flood. So with your general homeowners insurance policy, property insurance coverage, you'll have set limits for general type of disasters or situations that could happen with your home, and making sure that you have sufficient coverage to replace or return your home into its original condition after a storm damages your home. That's important. And if a situation has changed, maybe you've acquired more assets, have some jewelry that maybe is more valuable than your contents coverage, your general contents coverage includes, then you might need to look at your policy and ensure that you have enough coverage to be sufficient for you.
Yeah, because so many people, if a storm is impending, they'll be out putting up their shutters and they'll preparing themselves for the storm itself, but very little will prepare for the insurance aspect of it. So when's a good time to start thinking about the insurance policy that you want for your home? I mean, it isn't when a storm is on the doorstep, I would imagine, but is it, during the spring or fall or sometime like that when that threat isn't really there for you?
Actually, the beginning of hurricane season, before there's a storm out there, you should know what your coverage is and make sure that you have talked to your insurance agent to make sure that you have enough coverage and the right kind of coverage. A lot of people don't understand that your regular homeowner insurance doesn't cover rising water, that flood that can come from a storm. It only covers wind-driven rain. And there are limits to the amount of mold coverage that you have. So if you have water intrusion in your home that causes mold, that could be very expensive. We want to make sure we can we can return our home to the proper condition.
Sure. So what types of coverages would you recommend for homeowners first, and then how about renters? Let's also talk about that.
Oh yeah, homeowners, you're kind of lucky. Your policy generally covers your dwelling and your contents. However, renters need to understand if they're living in someone else's home, they don't own that home. The policy that homeowner has, the landlord, covers just the dwelling. They need to have a separate policy that covers their contents, renter's insurance. And homeowners are, a homeowner policy has a certain percentage of the home's value for the contents coverage. Say you have a $100,000 home and you're insured for $100,000, 10% of that is going to cover your contents. So look around your home. If you have more than $10,000 worth of belongings, your furniture, your dishes, your clothing, your knickknacks, all those things that we forget that we actually bought and put in our homes that might need to be replaced, then you might need additional content coverage.
So, okay, let's say there's a storm looming. It's on the horizon, and the TV stations are reporting it, and I want to go out and get some insurance for my building and for my contents. Can I do that?
That's a risky time because as the storm approaches, the insurance companies in the area will start putting a moratorium on writing insurance policies. So if you've waited too long, then you won't be able to get a policy. Once the storm passes, the moratorium will be lifted, but any policy you buy won't cover any damage that happened before you bought the policy. So don't wait until it's too late.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about documenting the contents of your home, so that if a storm does come through and your building's damaged, that you have some proof that the contents were good when they started and not so good after the storm.
One easy thing you could do with your handy cell phone is walk around your house and take a video of each of the rooms. Open the drawers and take pictures or video of how many pairs of jeans you might have in there. All the clothes in your closet, that all has value. So when you have to file a claim, all your belongings have been destroyed, and you're telling the insurance your insurance agent that you had 10 pairs of jeans to be able to back that up so that they'll pay you what your contents was worth. That's important. And we kind of forget that we had to pay for those area rugs and shower curtains and silverware that's all in those cabinets. That all adds up, and you want to get the most out of your insurance policy to replace your contents if you've had that kind of damage after a storm.
So go in and document everything, take pictures of it.
Sure.
And make sure, of course, that you store those pictures in a safe place.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
One nice thing is we have the cloud now.
Right. That's right.
Store all your documents in the cloud. Take that video and upload it to the cloud, and you can access it from anywhere after a storm. If your computer at home was destroyed, you can go to the library, pull up that information right from there. And you can scan in your insurance policy, so you always have it electronically to access from anywhere you might have had to relocate to after the storm. There's ways to make sure that you can get to those documents and be able to file a claim when you need to.
All right, so pre-storm preparation is important. And again, when you're documenting those items that you have that are very valuable, should you just be doing that in fall or in spring, or should you be doing that again if a storm is during the storm season? Let's say that.
I like to say, how we try to remember to replace our your smoke alarm batteries.
Sure.
When we change the clocks. How about June 1st? We take a video of all of our belongings. So happy hurricane season. Let's document what we have for this season.
Well, that's a really good idea, good suggestion. So, what are some of the other things that homeowners can do to prepare their homes for a storm and try to prevent as least amount of damage that's possible.
Adequate storm shutters are important. Making sure that you've, if a storm is approaching, you've removed anything that could be blown into your home or around your home, so that you can minimize any damage from that.
So just generally what you want to do is make sure that all of the chairs and everything you have around.
Trim any loose branches before, far enough ahead of the storm approaching that it can be taken away by the Waste Management Service. So you don't want that sitting out at the curb when those winds pick up.
Okay, so you've prepared yourself for the storm, and you've got all of your insurance papers, again, in a safe place, and you have all the pictures that you've taken that you've uploaded to the cloud, and then storm comes through, and what are you going to do if your home was damaged by the storm? How do you make that claim? How do you go about that?
You want to make sure as soon as the storm passes and it's safe to go back to your, or go to your home or outside your home, that you do anything you can to minimize any more damage from the storm. Put on the blue tarps over the roof, put covering over any broken windows, and just mitigate any further damage, and then notify your insurance agent, or actually file the claim properly right away. And I corrected myself because I happened to be working in the insurance industry when Matthew came through Florida and headed to the Carolinas. We dodged a bullet there when Matthew came by. That little jog kept us from all that damage that happened in the Carolinas. But I was on call that weekend for the insurance company that I worked for, and a number of the claims calls that came in, people were frustrated because they couldn't get a hold of their insurance agent to file a claim. They finally looked at the declaration page on their policy to say, call this 1-800 number to file a claim, and they got a hold of us. But the frustration came because, we sit down with that person and we select our insurance policy, we pay them, but that's not often who we file the claim with. They might live in your area. They probably had insurance damage at their own home, and they've got other things to deal with. On that declaration page of your policy, that top page that summarizes all your coverage, it'll have information to file a claim, call this number. And you want to make sure you file a claim properly, as fast as you can, and get that claim started so that you can return your home to the usable condition as fast as possible.
Yeah, I can recall when Francis came through, that was in 2004, a lot of the shingles on my roof got blown off and water was coming into the house. And I talked with a friend of mine who owned a restoration business, and some of the things that he had mentioned to me was to, again, take pictures, but if there was carpeting or something like that, before, you take the pictures and then take that carpeting and rip it out so you don't have to worry about mold and things like that.
Mitigate that damage, get the water out as fast as possible, and prevent the mold from coming in.
So what are some of the other things that homeowners can do to help mitigate the damage that's been done again in the home?
Well, like you said, take pictures, and if you need to start doing your own repairs, keep your receipts for any expenses that you had to make those repairs so that you can be reimbursed in your claim for that. You can show the claims adjuster that you've already taken these steps and this is the value of that. That's important. Making sure that the water can't access your dwelling anymore is important. And
what about equipment that you purchase, batteries, generators? Can that be claimed on your insurance before you make a claim and you have those all of those receipts? Can items like that be claimed?
That would be up to the claims adjuster to determine. They would make the determination whether that equipment purchase was necessary. Say the generator that powered the equipment that pulled the water out of your living room. That would be a question for the insurance adjuster to answer. But if you had to spend the money to do something like that, then keep that receipt and
Okay.
work with your adjuster.
Sure. All right. Now, sometimes folks are afraid to file a claim because they think that's going to cause their insurance to go up the following year. So is that a valid thought? I mean, should I not claim because I'm thinking that, well, you know what, I'm going to have my insurance go up and it's probably not going to balance out?
If you think you have enough damage to file a claim, go ahead and file it, because after a named storm, the insurance industry has a policy for calling a named storm a cat. They assign it a cat number, a catastrophe number. And so when you file that claim based on a named catastrophe, that catastrophe number is associated with that claim. So the next year when your policy is up for renewal, your insurance agency, insurer, looks to see if they're going to renew your policy, offer you a renewal, and how much that might be. They are not to consider any catastrophe claims. So if there's a cat number assigned to that claim, it should not be considered as a claim against your policy when they're considering your renewal. If you file too many claims, yes, insurers will say, we have a policy that if this homeowner has filed a certain number of claims, we really don't want to insure them anymore. You need to find another insurance company, and that's allowed. But cat claims should not be considered in that kind of a determination.
So you have your deck page, and on that deck page there's going to be a phone number that you're going to have to call after the storm comes through. You call that number, and then that's when you are issued that cat claim number?
Yes.
Okay. So normally then you have these numbers, they're set, and you've got the claim put in. Typically, how long would it take for an insurance company to give you a call back and then come out and have an adjuster come out and go through all of the claims that you've put in?
Well, remember, after a major storm like a hurricane, there's going to be a lot of people with damage. So it might take a little longer than usual for an adjuster to come out and look at your property. That's why you may need to mitigate the damage your own, take pictures of what happened, and then start mitigating so you can show the original damage to the adjuster. But normally insurance agencies, insurers like to settle a claim in around 60 days. That's a kind of an industry standard. They pride themselves on being able to close a claim quickly after a named storm. With so many claims in a region, that's often difficult. So don't expect it to be resolved right away. You have patience. And work with your adjuster. Once they see the damage, you'll get a quote for the reimbursement or for your claim. And if you don't agree with that quote, that's fine. You can look to another outside adjuster to survey your damages and submit a different quote, and then you can work with your insurance adjuster to come up with to come to the right solution. What's going to cover your perils and return your home to the original condition. And remember, insurance policy is not to improve your home after storm. The policy is to restore your home to its original condition.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. So the storm comes through, damage has been done, I've filed my claim, I've got my number, I've done all the right steps, and of course normally we lose power. We lose power for however long, 10 days, 12 days, 14 days, and sometimes longer. But, so the power's been restored, but let's say my refrigerator was damaged, or my TV was damaged, or a radio, or whatever it is. Can I go out and purchase those items and then claim them later through my insurance?
You can, but you need to understand whether your policy, when you first bought that policy, whether you opted for replacement cost or actual cash value. So say you bought that TV 3 years ago for $1,000.
Okay.
That nice big flat screen. and it was destroyed by the storm. You want to replace that TV. If you have replacement costs, if you opted for replacement cost coverage, they would give you the amount it costs to replace that TV in today's dollars.
Okay.
But if you chose actual cash value, they would depreciate that TV. 5 years ago, you paid $1,000. Well, it's only worth $500 now. $400, they're going to give you that $400 instead of the actual cost of replacing that. So it's something to consider when you're actually choosing your insurance policy. You'll pay a little bit more for the replacement cost coverage, but usually it's worth it because you want to be able to replace those items at today's costs.
So if you decide that you want to go with replacement cost, then as a homeowner, you would probably kind of need to weigh what the additional cost would be compared to what the purchase of that piece, whatever appliance or TV is at
Right.
today's market.
Mm-hmm. You would want to make sure that the items that you have now have the value for the additional cost of replacement cost coverage.
All right. So we've talked about mitigating damage and documenting everything through pictures. Is there any other way that you should document what you have with your insurance policies? So do you want to, for instance, have those insurance policies copied and have a second copy of them, or you want to put them in the bank where you can, you have a storage, a compartment?
Well, like we said, you can scan them in, scan your insurance policy in, and have it available to you electronically at any time, anywhere, which is the beauty of the cloud storage. Or you can have a grab-and-go box. A lot of people have those waterproof little small box with the important papers in them that you can grab and go in case of a tornado or hurricane, any other natural disaster like that. And if you have that, you want to make sure that the items in your grab-and-go box are updated. You don't want to grab and go, take that box, and then find out that it has your insurance policy from 3 years ago when you were with a different company and didn't have the same belongings.
Sure. Now, when you're getting an adjustment made, is there any advantage to having a public adjuster come in and help you out, or what exactly is that?
Well, a public adjuster is separate from your insurance adjuster. It's a separate company, and a lot of time public adjusters work with restoration companies. They're often there to help you, to push the insurance company for a better claim, additional coverage, and make sure that you're covered for everything. And so a lot of times the insurance industry has found that those public adjusters can inflate the cost of a claim overall for an insurance agent or for an insured. So yes, they can get you more money, but the cost of the claim is not beneficial in the long run.
Okay.
It can help you work with that adjuster, your insurance agency's adjuster, to make sure that you are provided a sufficient claim, but often they can inflate the claim, which ends up impacting you negatively in the long run for future coverage.
So you worked in the insurance agency business and for 3 or 4 years, 5 years?
2 years. Actually.
2 years? Oh, that's it. But
Yeah.
but you're so knowledgeable.
But I was licensed.
Yeah.
I went through the process of becoming a certified customer service representative, and learned a lot.
So are there any tips that you would like to pass along to our audience today? Kind of, in summary, where, is there certain things that you would recommend to our audience that might help them along?
Well, I know it's a boring thing to do, but read your policy. Know what you're covered for. If your insurance agent, the person who sells you that policy, can't explain your coverage in detail to you and answer all your questions, that's a big red flag that you might need to look to different insurance agent, someone who knows your policy, understands your property, and is helping you to make sure that you're sufficiently covered without overselling you a policy.
All right, so let's kind of summarize what we're talking about here today. When a storm is pending, as a homeowner, you want to be able to start to gather up your insurance policy, take a look at that, take some pictures, put those pictures up in the cloud.
Document everything.
Document. And so some of the other steps that the homeowner is going to need to take.
The more you can show an adjuster what you had, your content in your home was, the better you'll be able to get a sufficient claim. So that's important. And one thing I noticed when I was taking some of the claims after Hurricane Matthew was some people have roommates, and those people are not covered by your insurance policy. If you're a homeowner and you have a friend that you let live with you, that friend's contents are not covered by your insurance policy. Your homeowner covers the named insured, the people, your family members, and you that are the name on that policy. You let somebody live in your garage, that person and their contents are not covered by your property owner's insurance. So that person would need renter's insurance to cover their contents.
Oh, that's interesting. So if you do have someone, like you said, that person is going to then have to get his or her own separate policy?
They should.
Yeah.
To cover their contents. You don't want to give an insurance adjuster a reason to deny your claim or reduce your claim. You want to have this sufficient coverage for all of your belongings. And if you live in somebody else's house, whether you rent there or you're a roommate, you want to make sure that you have coverage for your own belongings as well.
So, I think about that, and sometimes a renter has someone living there, and maybe that person has the furniture, and the other person has like the television and stuff like that. So you need to be able to kind of distinguish all that out, separate all that out, and as the homeowner, make sure you have good insurance for yourself, and then probably suggest insurance for the person that's renting or staying there.
Yes.
Well, great. That's really good information. I appreciate it, and hopefully a lot of the folks that are listening to the show today will give you a call. We have your phone number up there. In the last 45 seconds or so, what else is going on in your extension world?
I'm very excited that I'll be working with St. Lucie County Community Services. They just received a grant that will help us to help people improve their credit scores. So under this grant, I'll be offering budget classes that anybody in the public can come to. And once they come to the class, it'll make them eligible for me to review their credit report and identify an outstanding debt that we can pay off with those grant monies that'll help improve their credit score.
Excellent. Carol, thank you again for being on our show today. And thank you for watching.